Thanks so much for joining us here at 5. I'm Julie Bragg.
And I'm Rob Desir. CBS 6 is bringing you complete coverage as the United States of America welcomes a new president and a vice president. And we have several live crews working for you tonight, highlighting this historic and unconventional Inauguration Day.
While many traditions changed this year, one thing stayed the same. The new president took the oath of office just before noon on January 20th. President Joe Biden calling for unity just moments after being sworn in. CBS's Natalie Brand reports from Capitol Hill.
I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear.
After taking the oath of office, President Joseph R. Biden declared democracy has prevailed.
I will be a president for all Americans. All Americans.
Former presidents Barack Obama, George W. Bush, and Bill Clinton were on hand for the transfer of power, as well as outgoing Vice President Mike Pence.
So help me God.
So help me God. Pence's successor, Kamala Harris, made history, becoming not only the first woman, but the first black person and first person of South Asian descent to become vice president. Speaking at the Capitol just 2 weeks after rioters stormed the building, the 46th president said unity is the only path forward.
My whole soul is in this, bringing America together, uniting our people, uniting our nation. And I ask every American to join me in this cause.
While today was steeped in tradition, only a small, socially distanced group attended the ceremony because of the coronavirus pandemic and increased security concerns.
The National Mall, usually crowded with supporters, was instead filled with flags. On stage, an array of star power.
Amazing grace.
Notably absent, former President Donald Trump, who declined to greet his successor as he hinted at a political return.
We will be back in some form. I wish the new administration great luck and great success.
Following a gift exchange with congressional leaders, President Biden and Vice President Harris attended a wreath laying at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier at Arlington National Cemetery. The president and first lady then kicked off the mostly virtual inaugural parade with a walk along Pennsylvania Avenue. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
Well, Virginia's state capitol has remained on lockdown for days after warnings of potential violence in capital cities leading up to the inauguration.
Our Jake Burns continues our complete coverage from downtown Richmond. And Jake, tell us what it was like there today.
Well, Rob, as one person put it to me, it was eerily quiet around here. You mentioned that authorities were bracing for the unknown. That did not materialize as the nation watched history unfold up in D.C.
On the same hour, the winds of political power shifted in Washington.
I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear.
100 miles south, this was the sound of Virginia's symbol of democracy. A welcome silence, given the signs of how local authorities were preparing based off threats of political violence against state capitals.
Yeah, it was nice to see that.
Jim Anderson took a bike ride into downtown after seeing America's 46th president sworn in.
I think it shows that things are falling into place. I think the inauguration is gone off, as far as I know, without a hitch. Things are quiet here. Nobody's in jeopardy. People are respecting the building. Yeah, and the institution.
Together, we shall write an American story of hope, not fear, of unity, not division, of light, not darkness.
President Biden urging unity Wednesday to a nation that currently appears defined by deep political division.
Democracy and hope, truth and justice did not die on our watch but thrived.
A message Anderson hopes takes hold.
Let's use this institution that we have in place. That's the best vehicle we have in order to get things done.
But I had to walk to the hospital. I had to get here at 6:30, so.
These barricades throwing a 15-minute detour into Dr. Priyanka Patel's walk to work.
Today is just like a nice sunny day. No one's out, which is very surprising, but it's relieving.
The historic nature of Vice President Harris taking the oath of office, a symbol of change for Dr. Patel.
As an Indian woman, that's exciting for us. I think it gives little girls hope, and it's a nice change for sure.
Tonight at 6, Dr. Patel shares with us a thought that some people out there might be having, that one ceremony, no matter its gravity, can't truly lead to the change we need necessarily. Working for you in Richmond, Jake Burns, CBS 6 News.
All right, Jake, thank you.
While today remained peaceful at the state and U.S. capitals, it was a completely different story on this day 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, ever since the deadly riot in D.C., heightened security measures have been in place across the country, and they could be here to stay. Our Bill Fitzgerald joins us now here in studio to explain. Bill?
Rob, the day's proceedings, as we saw, went off without hitch. The right-wing protests that law enforcement had feared did not materialize, but security experts say much of what you saw in Washington today is not just a new political era, but one of heightened security measures as well. Now, the pandemic would have made for a sparsely attended ceremony anyway, but there was no mistaking the thousands of National Guard troops stationed all over the nation's capital. Security experts say behind the scenes, increased intelligence gathering by various law enforcement agencies is targeting what they call domestic terrorists. As far as the physical changes, Professor William Pelfrey, chair of Homeland Security at the Wilder School at VCU, says the increased fortification we've seen in Washington and elsewhere, especially in other state capitals, is now likely permanent.
And there's also going to be fortifications. After 9/11, we saw state capitals change. We saw them build barricades. We saw permanent concrete protuberances that made it more difficult to approach the Capitol grounds. You can no longer drive around the Virginia Capitol. That is too bad, but those are the changes that have to happen as a result of security measures and security emplacements.
Now, Professor Pelfrey also warns that many of the extremist groups may simply move their platforms underground to private servers since well-known social media ones are no longer available. Julie?
All right, thanks so much, Bill. And on President Donald Trump's last day, he issued dozens of pardons, and we're learning a couple of them have connections to Central Virginia.
CBS 6's Melissa Hippolyte joins us live from her home with the breakdown. Melissa.
Well, Rob and Julie, there are two among the 73 that have local ties. First and foremost, Stephen Bannon. He is a native son of Richmond. He was President Trump's former chief strategist and played a large role in his 2016 presidential campaign. Now, Bannon was indicted in August on wire fraud and money laundering conspiracy charges. The feds accused him and three others of taking money raised to build a wall along the southern border to line their own pockets. Bannon pleaded not guilty to that. Bannon grew up in Richmond and graduated from Benedictine High School in 1971. His childhood home is in Ginter Park, where Bannon used to deliver newspapers. He attended Virginia Tech after high school. His family still lives in Richmond, and they told our Jake Burns back in 2016 that Bannon is a hard worker and a patriot. Now, the second man pardoned by Trump with local ties is D.C. developer Douglas Jamal, who made a bid to buy many of the properties included in the failed Navy Hill project. Ahead at 6 o'clock, I'll explain what he was convicted of. Working for you, I'm Melissa Hippolyte for CBS 6.
Thank you, Melissa. Well, today's transfer of power was historic in many ways, but one of the most notable, the United States now has its first female vice president. And as our Shelby Brown reports, it's a huge moment for organizers with a Richmond nonprofit that works with young girls of color who believe that they, too, can be change makers.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Watching our nation's first ever woman of color Supreme Court justice swear in our first female vice president of color, it's a monumental moment in history that isn't lost on Angela Patton and Genesis Holland.
I am overwhelmed, but also proud, in awe.
Patton founded Girls for Change, a local nonprofit whose mission is to empower African American and other girls of color in Central Virginia to discover their potential and visualize their bright futures. They've talked a lot about what this moment means to them.
What's happening today is just building blocks for what's going to happen tomorrow and next year and 20 years from there.
This moment is just so big for not just our organization and Black girls in general, because of the idea of now we finally get to see ourselves in politics.
Patton says what she wants every young girl to glean from Kamala Harris's accomplishment is the idea that they too can be the next change makers.
We make sure that there is action behind the work that we tell our girls, because it's about making sure they believe it. It's not, we see people and we get motivated. We hear and we get motivated. But when we can do, we are so much more than motivated. Now they are the change.
She and Holland, who's been a participant for several years, are excited that in this new moment in history, Girls for a Change is also set to inspire a new batch of young women through their Girl Ambassador program, a 4-year workforce development initiative to prepare the girls for jobs in technology and other careers.
So we're making sure that in our workforce programs, that they're in positions where they can make sure that they see how leadership evolves, that they are in the board meeting. They see how decisions are made.
And let's make sure we're uplifting them and building them and knowing that what you see on TV today is something that you can be.
For more information on Girls for a Change or its Girl Ambassador program, you can call 804-405-2827 or go to WTVR.com and we'll provide a link. Working for you, I'm Shelby Brown, CBS 6 News.
Yeah, Vice President Harris has definitely inspired a lot of young women today on this historic day, on the inauguration day. And remember, you can find all of our complete coverage of the inauguration on our website at WTVR.com or by downloading the free CBS 6 News app.
She inspires a lot of older women like me. I mean, all of the women I know are posting that they're really proud.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people on Facebook talking about wearing their pearls and Chucks.
And Chuck Taylors.
A lot of people were doing that.
That's right.